The plan is being referred to as Silicon Heartland, a nod to California's Silicon Valley. Governor Mike DeWine referring to the news as monumental.
They used to say, America no longer builds. They used to say large-scale industrial projects were finished, that the country that once built the Hoover Dam, the Golden Gate Bridge, and the Apollo program had lost the capacity to think big. But today, quietly, and without most of the world noticing, the United States is executing one of the largest industrial transformations in its modern history. A transformation that doesn't look like skyscrapers or stadiums, but like enormous, city-sized semiconductor factories rising from farmland. And the center of this transformation is not California, not Texas, not New York. It is the American Midwest, specifically the state of Ohio. The same Ohio that for decades was called the Rust Belt. The same Ohio that lost more than 300,000 manufacturing jobs between 2000 and 2010. The same Ohio that people said would never come back. Today, that state is being renamed by policymakers, economists, and global tech companies as the Silicon Heartland. To understand why, we need to go back to the year 2020, the year global supply chains collapsed. Cars couldn't be built because they were missing microchips worth just $1. Hospitals couldn't access medical equipment. Tech companies couldn't meet demand. And the U.S. military, which relies on advanced semiconductors in jets, satellites, radars, and missile defense systems, suddenly faced the truth. America had become dependent on foreign chips for more than 90% of its supply of the most advanced semiconductors. The numbers were shocking. Taiwan produced more than 60% of the world's semiconductors. For the world's most advanced chips, below 7 nanometers, Taiwan produced 92% of global supply. The U.S. share, just 12% and falling. This vulnerability triggered a national reevaluation. The U.S. had invented the microchip, but it no longer manufactured the essential technology that powered everything from iPhones to F-35 fighter jets. In 2022, the federal government launched the CHIPS and Science Act, a $52.7 billion national initiative to rebuild semiconductor manufacturing inside the United States. This single law unlocked more than $200 billion in private sector commitments, according to the Semiconductor Industry Association. And one project, one location, became the centerpiece of this new strategy: Ohio. Why Ohio? Why would the world's most advanced semiconductor manufacturing return to farmland? The answer lies in 5 powerful data points. First, land availability. Building a cutting-edge semiconductor fab requires between 1,000 and 2,000 acres of optimized, stable land. Flat, low risk, away from seismic activity, and suitable for multi-billion-dollar clean rooms. This rules out many coastal states. Ohio offered some of the largest contiguous industrial-zoned land parcels in the United States. Second, water supply. A single semiconductor megafab can use up to 5 million gallons of ultra-pure water per day. Some of the most advanced fabs require up to 20 million gallons. Ohio sits on major water resources and has built water infrastructure for heavy manufacturing for over a century. Third, electric grid stability. Semiconductor fabs require near-zero interruption electricity and power loads exceeding 100 megawatts per facility. Ohio's grid reliability and proximity to multiple power sources made it ideal. Fourth, workforce. Ohio still retains one of the largest advanced manufacturing workforces in the United States. More than 700,000 workers in manufacturing industries, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Intel specifically cited Ohio State University, University of Cincinnati, and a broad network of engineering programs as strategic advantages. Fifth, strategic geography. Ohio is within 1 day's trucking distance of 60% of the U.S. population and much of the automotive, aerospace, and defense supply chain, industries that depend heavily on semiconductors. It was these 5 data points that led Intel in January 2022 to announce one of the largest industrial investments in American history, a $20 billion semiconductor mega site in Licking County, Ohio. The initial phase includes 2 advanced fabs, each costing around $10 billion, making this the most expensive private sector construction project in Ohio history. But here is the detail that changed everything. Intel confirmed that the site could eventually expand to 8 fabs, with a total investment reaching $100 billion. That would make Ohio home to one of the world's largest semiconductor manufacturing complexes. The scale is almost difficult to comprehend. Intel purchased more than 1,000 acres of land, a footprint large enough to host the Pentagon twice. Construction already involves more than 7,000 workers, with an estimated 3,000 permanent high-tech jobs once operational. Each fab requires over 6,000 unique components, ultra-clean manufacturing environments, robotic wafer handling systems, and extreme ultraviolet lithography machines that cost more than $150 million each. To put that into perspective, one EUV lithography machine costs more than a Boeing 737, and Ohio will house dozens of them. But Intel was only the beginning. Within months of the announcement, companies across the semiconductor supply chain began announcing their own Ohio expansions. Materials companies, chemical suppliers, gas and specialty fluid manufacturers, clean room builders, and precision tool makers, many with investments ranging from $100 million to over $1 billion. The ripple effects are enormous. New highways are being planned. Universities have expanded semiconductor engineering programs. Workforce training centers are being built across central Ohio. Ohio's Economic Development Agency estimates that Intel's presence will create 20,000 indirect jobs in addition to the direct hires. And this is where the story becomes even bigger than Ohio. The Pentagon, NASA, and Department of Energy have all signaled that domestic semiconductor capacity is now a national security priority, not just an economic issue. The Department of Defense specifically emphasized that advanced chips are essential for guided missiles, cybersecurity systems, satellite communication, nuclear command and control, and hypersonic weapons development. A single F-35 fighter jet contains more than 2,000 microchips, and many of those chips currently come from foreign suppliers. American strategists see Ohio's megafabs as a foundation for rebuilding a secure defense tech supply chain inside the United States. Meanwhile, automakers General Motors, Ford, Stellantis, and Tesla have also begun aligning with semiconductor companies after losing billions during the chip shortages. Ohio is already one of the country's automotive production centers, and Intel's presence further cements the state's strategic position in electric vehicle and autonomous driving technologies. But perhaps the most important shift is cultural. For the first time in decades, young engineers are moving into Ohio rather than out of it. New housing developments are breaking ground. Local retailers, restaurants, and small businesses are expanding. Cities once known for decline are now becoming hubs of high-technology investment. The data confirms this transformation. Central Ohio recorded record population growth between 2021 and 2024. Industrial construction spending in Ohio exceeded $11 billion in 2023, the highest in its recorded history. And companies linked to the semiconductor supply chain announced more than $30 billion in new Ohio investments within just 2 years. But with every megaproject, challenges appear. Construction timelines for advanced fabs are complex. The global semiconductor market is volatile, and the U.S. must still compete with Taiwan, South Korea, and increasingly China, all of which pour massive subsidies into semiconductor manufacturing. Yet this time, the direction has changed. For the first time in nearly 30 years, the United States is gaining ground in semiconductor manufacturing instead of losing it. And Ohio, once considered a symbol of America's industrial decline, is now the center of that comeback. When Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger stood at the construction site and said, "This will be the biggest silicon manufacturing location on the planet," many people did not believe him. But today, with billions already spent, thousands of workers on site, and global supply chains taking shape around Ohio, the Silicon Heartland is no longer a slogan. It is a measurable, data-backed, strategically significant industrial reality. A reality reshaping America's role in the global technology race. A reality pushing the United States back into semiconductor leadership. And a reality that shows how rapidly a country can change its economic destiny when it decides to build again. Ohio, a state once written off, is now becoming one of the most important technology regions in the world. A symbol of the United States' attempt to reclaim its technological independence, and one of the most ambitious industrial megaprojects of the 21st century. This is the Silicon Heartland. This is the American comeback. And this is what happens when a nation decides that decline is not its destiny.